You know how there's like those those amusement parks where you go into and you have a lot of fun. You have a lot of fun. You go with your friends. There's lots of like different rides you can go into, and you have some downtime in between where you can go eat and drink and stuff, and like just like generally have fun. It's very engaging. It's very like a fulfilling experience to go to an amusement park, I think personally. And you know how there's like in that amusement park usually you always have like that one favorite specific roller coaster that you like going into very often, like maybe even multiple times during the same trip to the amusement park. And then you always have like those friends who don't really care for it as much, and then you just want to do something else, you know, like it's completely normal like that. Yeah, so the Super Mario Galaxy movie is kind of like if you took that amusement park and only included that roller coaster in it, made it bigger so it takes 1.5 hours to complete, and then you only use that roller coaster ride and nothing else. That's what the movie is like. Also, this is just mineral water. My friends left this fireball here. I don't drink. Good morning, everyone, everywhere. There's this notion that Miyamoto hates telling actual stories in the games he creates or produces. You can see this from Zelda or Pikmin. They don't really have much in the way of lore, or I guess they have, but it's never because of Miyamoto's influence, and he generally just doesn't really seem to care for telling a contained narrative or ever developing characters, and anytime a character does develop, they are rebooted and there's a different version of the same character in the next game. This happens to Zelda, Star Fox, even Pikmin. There's like some debate going around whether this is actually true, if Miyamoto really like deliberately avoids having and telling stories in his games. But what I do know is that if he were to direct a movie, the Super Mario Galaxy movie would be the result. There is no story in this film, like barely anything. There's like only enough to really like even kickstart any kind of plot for our heroes to have a reason to go around in different biomes in this movie. Minor spoiler incoming, they essentially just made Rosalina the Peach in this story, and they just have to save Rosalina, and that's the entire plot. There's not very much anything else going on. Pretty much the entire movie is just kind of like a gameplay noise happening on screen. There is very little reason for anything to be occurring at the moment it is occurring in the movie. It's very hard to explain exactly what I mean, but like imagine a highlight reel of like your favorite sections of a Mario game, or the Mario franchise actually, like in its entirety. That's essentially the movie. Every single scene is continued from an action sequence or some other kind of exciting travel sequence or anything like that to the next one. And there's almost never any kind of downtime in the movie, which is so weird. There's almost no dialogue in the movie. It's actually like almost avant-garde how there's no like voiceover or anything like that. The story has been constructed so haphazardly that there's like 3 or maybe even 4 different flashbacks to different characters and their motivations, because there's literally no time to flesh them out or develop them in any significant way. For example, if you noticed the promotional art of Star Fox that was shown before the movie came out, you might have assumed that he was going to be like a key player in the movie. And while the source is claiming that he has more screen time than Rosalina are probably true, I wasn't counting, but it seems like he had a bit more time. That time is never actually used to develop him as a character. He's just the guy who pilots them around. There's like not even any conflict between him and Mario or anything. They just go around doing whatever the plot requires. And people obviously are going to say, well, Mario isn't supposed to have like a deep, fleshed out story. Mario has never been about the story. It's about the gameplay. But you're not playing a game, are you? This is a movie. And if you're going to adapt another medium into a movie, you try to make that fit into a movie. Whatever my opinion is on Harry Potter or its creator, at least the movies adapted the book's content quite well, because the books are about an entire school year of stuff. But obviously a 2-hour movie isn't going to have that entire school year of stuff in it, so then they pick and choose whatever is most necessary for it. In this movie, it's almost like they made the opposite of a choice, because obviously this is supposed to be the Super Mario Galaxy movie, right? But I'm pretty sure they adapted like 8 or 10 different games into this. There's like parts of Yoshi's Island, there's parts of Galaxy obviously, there's parts of Sunshine, there's parts of like pretty much every single mainline Mario game that you could think of. Whether it's just like a single enemy in the background or a full like 10-minute section of the story. Wart is in the movie for some reason, which is like, I guess like kind of cool. He looks faithful, he acts funny, but what do any of these characters actually bring to the movie aside from making it feel bloated? For example, Yoshi was supposed to like be a big draw for this movie or whatever. The previous movie made a huge deal out of the post-credit scene being Yoshi hatching from his egg or whatever, but then in this movie they don't really use him for anything. A few gags require him like sucking stuff into an egg or whatever, but they never like properly use that to their advantage, at least on purpose. And Yoshi just like never really plays any role in the story, aside from references to Yoshi related stuff. And this pretty much relates to everything in the movie in general. Toad from the first movie is relegated to much more of a side character who barely again has any kind of dialogue. He might have like genuinely maybe less than 10 lines in the entire movie, I'm not sure, even though he is technically part of the very like core group of the plot. And it's so weird because I did actually like a lot of the stuff that they showed in the movie. It's just that there's no like proper context to tie everything together. Like the fight with Peach and Toad in Gateway Galaxy is absolutely amazing, but like there's no reason for me to care about it. None of these characters are like actually ever in danger, they're just like moving along with the plot. They crash land on multiple planets all of the time and nothing really happens with that. But then again, at the same time, the visuals and music are amazing. And obviously, as a Tron fan, you're supposed to think, oh yeah, that's enough for Franka, right? Like the visuals and music, well then he's basically set for life. It's not really that simple. Tron has an actual like meaning and depth to it that this movie doesn't really stick to. If you remember when the first movie came out 3 years ago already, there was a lot of talk about the movie being just like a hype train of cool references and niche little like stuff from Mario games. I didn't fully agree with that at the time, but this movie is actually genuinely what the critics thought about the first one. The first one is actually constructed like an actual film. You can have your problems with the Super Mario Bros. Movie and whatever, I certainly did, I only gave it a 3 out of 5, but at least it was constructed like a functioning film or movie. Like, this is barely a movie. The more that I think about this movie, I don't even think if it's a movie at all. Everything feels like it's being cut and edited for like some kind of TikTok montage, and it's so funny because like, that's not why I came to a movie theater. I came to watch the movie itself. When they make the TikToks later, that's supposed to be like a separate process. You don't have to make like ADHD editing like in the studio cut. That's for the fans, you know? You don't have to do that in the film theater. Thank you. And really the only saving grace at the end of the day was that the kids had fun in my movie theater showing. And that is genuinely what the movie is supposed to be for, which is completely fine. And obviously that's what most video game movies are supposed to be about. They are kids' movies, fundamentally. But, like, there are obviously good animated movies that can fit for all ages. I just think this movie doesn't really have an audience, outside of people who don't watch movies and just want to see the Mario references everywhere, and kids with attention deficit disorders. I really don't know what you are supposed to get out of this movie. It's a roller coaster ride that never ends until it does, and then you're just left feeling empty like, what next? What are we even doing here? Major spoilers incoming. But they show Samus's ship in one section of the movie. I will put a photo here if I can find one. That was the only part of the entire movie that made me feel anything. And even that was just because it was the first time they had shown anything Metroid in a movie. Which is so cool. Like, Samus is part of this world now, which is so exciting to think about until you remember what kinds of movies these are. And I don't think I really want to see a Metroid movie like this. I think it would be very fine if there would be an animated movie about Metroid. I have nothing against animation, don't get me wrong. But I don't think Illumination is suited for this work. I don't think Miyamoto is suited to produce these movies, or whoever is in charge of making these films like this. I don't think that works. And I'm not sure if I would go see a third movie of this. I was very excited for this second one because I was like, oh yeah, they're going to make a Super Smash Bros. Movie and so on. And the movie hints at some of this kind of stuff probably happening in the future. And the weird part is, the references aren't really even the issue. I think it's a great thing that they are expanding the universe, and that's very clearly the reason that they made a Galaxy movie as their second movie in this franchise. The problem is, when you try to make like 200 different references like in 10 minutes. It just doesn't work. It feels way too bloated, and when the movie is over, it just is. It doesn't really end on any specific note. Everything just ends well. The heroes win, obviously, and then it just kind of ends. Like, there's no ending to this movie. It's very weird. Can I recommend this movie? Not really. Not much anyway. Maybe if you watch it from like less reputable sources, go on, but I wouldn't pay for this. Even though I already did, so I guess that's on me. But it doesn't have to be on you. But I guess we'll see you next time when I review some movie that I didn't really have to pay for, because it wasn't really that good. In the meantime, feel free to subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe to the main channel, obviously, where I will have another video essay coming very soon. I hope you liked yesterday's April Fool's video. I had lots of fun making it with Kekis, and I do hope that I can start a bit of like a tradition here, because April Fool's videos are always fun to do because I don't really have to focus on them as much. Anyway, don't watch this movie. Just watch it when it inevitably becomes like 200 different TikTok clips that you can like scroll in between your lunch breaks or whatever. You're not really missing anything by not watching it right now. It's probably going to make so much money that they will make like 20 more of these, and it's going to be a whole nother cinematic universe disappointment. But at least I warned you. Call me when they make an actual good Metroid movie. Good night, everyone, everywhere.